guys have already commented on this, but just to get your take po, what's your opinion po of these prayer rallies that transition somehow into political rallies and at times anti-government rally pa?
Well, yan nga yung maganda sa atin eh. When 1987 Constitution was framed and was implemented, we had a democratic form of government and we allowed these rallies to happen. For as long as they don't violate any rules or any laws, then we would allow them. Yun lang ang importante. They have to be responsible with what they're doing. If they violate a law, then they can they can face justice on that. No, so we will allow them. Yun ang tingin on the legislative standpoint, no.
Other comments po? Ay, yes, boss.
Yeah, well, ngayon lang ako nakakita at nakapanood ng prayer rally na gano'n, di ba? Kasi usually pag sinabing prayer rally, talagang may mga nagdadasal, may nangangaral. Kaso lang dito mukhang nagkaroon ng pagkakaiba ng anyo ang mga prayer rallies. So, ako ang position ko, I don't think nakakatulong po ito sa takbo ng ating bansa. Ang nais po natin ipakita, stability within the country, and having noise such as this is not helpful, especially we're on track towards recovery from a pandemic. So I would rather focus all our attention and energies on efforts that will help the country grow and stabilize. So sana hindi na madagdagan ito dahil nakikita naman natin na wala naman talagang magandang naidudulot so far. So let's just focus on supporting the administration's objectives and continuing our legislative work so that we can continue to support unity within the country, and number two, of course, yung bagong Pilipinas na ipinaglalaban ng ating mahal na Pangulo.
In addition to that na lang po, no, of course, freedom of speech and expression is fundamental in our democracy. And while we may not agree with what people say, we have to respect the right to say it. But with that, speaking of this particular rally, the political speeches that it has ultimately boiled down to would be understandable. But I have to express my deep disappointment in certain statements, certain controversial statements, because we should never allow political dissent to boil down to espousing violence. No? There were some statements that were made by men that seem misogynistic, that would support acts of violence upon particular women. And I think while they may argue, as we know the channel that is behind the rally also, no? SMNI, it just proves our point po no dito sa bill that we're revoking. They would tend to put forward the defense of freedom of speech and expression, but the way by means they utilize it, weaponize it, and espouse and promote violence and lower the standards of discussion is something horrible, I would say. So I would I respect that this would be a political discussion, there would be dissent, that's normal, but the words of which they've used, I express my utmost objection to that. Ilan po.
Well, ngayon lang kami nakakita ng prayer rally na puro mura ang naririnig, no? So, nagpapasalamat din naman ako dahil kahit anong naririnig natin doon, hindi naman pinapatulan, no, ng ating administrasyon. So, mas maganda itigil na lang nila yan dahil wala naman na itutulong sa ating bansa yan. Tingin natin, kukunti na lang talaga yung no? Kukunti na lang talaga yung may gusto ng mga ganyang klaseng gawain, no? At sana ihinto na lang nila at wala naman talaga maitutulong sa bansa. At saka, hindi naman talaga prayer rally ang tawag doon dahil talagang walang ginawa kundi puro puot at masasakit na salita yung binibitawan doon sa pagtitipon na yon.
Well, just to point out, I mean, if you would look at the recent numbers of President Bongbong Marcos, they've rebounded. His net satisfaction, his approval rating, his trust rating has again improved. So this goes to show that when we talk about performance, which should be the basis really of every administration, the administration of President Bongbong Marcos is doing very well. So these prayer rallies, quote unquote, are mere distractions. And I do echo the sentiments of Congressman Rog, na sana naman hinay-hinay, medyo lagyan naman na natin ng konting delikadesa sa mga salitang ginagamit dahil hindi po to maganda pakinggan at hindi rin to magandang naririnig, especially ng mga kabataan dahil kung titingnan po natin yung rally, may mga bata din yata doon na involved. I don't think it sets the right model, especially for the younger generation.
I have to ask this since it's been alluded to. Do you demand? Would you demand a public apology from ex-Congressman Glenn Chong for threatening to slap the First Lady?
Without a doubt. I mean, he should. He should. I mean, the words that he uttered against our First Lady are totally uncalled for. He should. So, I don't only demand it, but I think out of common courtesy and basic human nature, I think he should. He may have his misgivings. He may feel bad about certain things in life, but to say that on TV, I think is totally uncalled for. And he should.
I think hindi po sinasampal ang mga babae. Even in rhetorics or even in jokes. As a matter of fact, stricto nga tayo dyan because meron tayong batas laban sa kaharasan against women and children. Hindi po sila sinasampal, minamahal po sila.
In addition to that, as I mentioned earlier, I agree and echo the sentiments of D.S. Suarez. I may not be in a position to demand an apology because hindi naman ako yung alluded to. But I think in behalf of all the women that we love, I think all of us should demand an apology from this person.